Seventh graders, 16.5, A Nation Divides. Last section, we talked about the emergence, the beginning of the Republican Party. We talked about Lincoln running for the Senate in Illinois in 1858 and losing, but gaining a name for himself as someone who wanted to stop the spread of slavery into the territories. 1860 rolls around. Okay, that's where we're going to be picking up today with the last section of chapter 16, and it is titled A Nation Divides. Don't forget your vocab terms. There are 3 vocab terms on 16.5. They will be linked from Quizlet and also on your Schoology page that goes with this tutorial video. You can view this tutorial video again at your leisure to start and stop and get important information you might miss the first time through when you watch. Let's take a look at our reading here and the questions at the bottom. 16.5, A Nation Divides. Abraham Lincoln ran for president in 1860 as a Republican. After losing in Illinois in 1858, Lincoln again decides to run, this time for national office in 1860 for president. He was able to win the election because the Democratic Party was split over the issue of slavery. Lincoln was able to win the election. Northern Democrats chose Stephen Douglas to run for president. Southern Democrats picked another candidate, John Breckinridge from Kentucky. Lincoln also won because there were now many more voters in the North and in the South. He received very, very few Southern votes in the election of 1860, but he still received enough electoral votes to win. In the South, there was great unhappiness about Lincoln's election. Many Southerners thought that they no longer had a voice in their national government. The election of Lincoln to many Southerners, many white Southerners, was seen as the death knell to slavery. They realized, or they feared, that with Lincoln's election, the move to abolish slavery would be right around the corner. Okay, many Southerners thought they no longer had a voice in their national government. They thought that their only choice was to leave the Union. We saw that vocab word earlier this chapter. The word for leaving the Union or to quit the Union was to secede, and they thought their only choice, many Southern states, was to secede. South Carolina was the first state to secede in 1860. On December 20th, I believe, 6 states would follow. They formed the Confederate States of America, or the Confederacy. Okay, Jefferson Davis was named president of the Confederacy. So here you have, within the months right after Lincoln is elected in November of 1860, from the time he takes office in March of 1861, you have 7 states opt to leave the Union. South Carolina is the first, followed by 6 others. Now, Lincoln did not believe that the Southern states had the right to secede. We'll talk about that more in depth in class. However, he wanted to avoid war. Lincoln wanted to do all that he could when he was elected to avoid war. While he was deciding what to do, Confederate forces in the South began to seize federal forts in the South. Then Confederate forces fired on Union troops at Fort Sumter in South Carolina. Fort Sumter was a military installation, a U.S. military installation off the coast of South Carolina, Charleston Harbor. And on April 11th of 1861, the firing on Fort Sumter by Southern Confederate forces marked the beginning of the Civil War. This war would last 4 very, very long years. Let's take a look at the chart on the Civil War, the events leading to the Civil War, 1860 to 1861. Lincoln, in November of 1860, is elected president. This immediately frightens or jolts the South into realizing that they have who they believe is an abolitionist that wants to abolish slavery. Now, Lincoln had not said during the course of the campaign he was going to abolish slavery. Lincoln only spoke in kind of cryptic terms about stopping the spread of slavery into new territories or into new states. But regardless, Southern states did believe that Lincoln would eventually move to abolish slavery. As a result, South Carolina will become the first state to secede, in effect forming its own country, along with Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. 7 states will leave the Union before Lincoln takes office in March of 1861. Those 7 states later will become 11 states. 4 more will secede after Lincoln takes office. Those 7 states will form the Confederate States of America with Jefferson Davis as president. And the Confederate forces on April 11th are going to seize federal forts in the South with the firing on Fort Sumter off the coast of Charleston. Those are that's the diagram or the chart on the events leading up to the Civil War. Take a look at the questions at the bottom of the sheet, please, and make sure that you complete these on a Google Doc and share with them. Please number them. The first question, you can use the reading to respond. What did Lincoln's election mean to the South in 1860? What did Lincoln's election mean to those southern states that favored slavery? And the chart skills, which event occurs first? The secession of South Carolina or the formation of the Confederate States of America? Please answer those questions correctly. I apologize for just having my kitty cat, Sophia, jump into frame. Answer those 2 questions. Yes, Sophia, you can go get your dinner now. 2 questions. The second one is a chart question. Which event occurred first? The secession of South Carolina or the formation of the Confederate States? Be sure to answer those questions. Please number them and share them as a Google Doc. Also, be sure to watch the supplemental videos that I have posted on your Schoology feed for section 16.5. And also be sure to study your vocab terms for 16.5. There are 3 terms. I've linked them on the Schoology page, the Schoology feed, and also I've placed them in your class folder on the Quizlet.com site. Thank you for your attention. Stay well, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.